Hi, welcome everyone to Finishing School. This is my Why I Play My Class series on my main, my Corsair. As you can see, Otters has a lot of Corsairs, and I think it's a pretty gay class. But who knows? Um, so yeah, let's get started on why I play my Corsair. First things first, I got Nexon. Um, Jet was my original main when I first came back to the game, and now it's no longer a class, so I ended up actually changing it to a Bowmaster, not a Corsair, so my Corsair was actually a separate character from that. Another reason why I play this class is because I really like the sprite work. These mothers right here, the evolution of Cunt, the evolution of Puss. I also play the class because I'm an American and I like my civil liberties. I like the aesthetic of all of these guns, even the ones that are a little more basic and obtainable inside of Reboot. I do not like the aesthetic of the Genesis weapon, which looks like a shrimp, but it will make do. I played this class because there are a lot of summons, and I'll do a quick demo of the mobbing rotation that I usually do. These summons help me cover a lot of area. These three summons right here, these two ships and this little cannon, can help you cover separate platforms, and these two guys follow you wherever you go. I desperately miss the octopus, and I really hope it comes back. But if not, well, we have these guys. And there's a cool thing about these two ships. They actually create a field that you can put down. If you have these two ships in the vicinity of the field, they will auto-attack this space, which makes bossing a little easier, so I only have to move this instead of moving the ships, which shoot out little cannonballs individually. I can just move this, and they will auto-target this space. I still miss this guy, though. And here's a quick demo of my mobbing rotation. For reference, I do have level 1 Janus, and I don't ever plan on leveling it until I actually start pushing the Corsair, maybe to like 290. But as it stands, this is how I mob. Pay attention to the number of times I actually hit my attack skills. So my rotation usually involves just me putting my summons up. Ship number 1, ship number 2, the small little cannon at the bottom, and this is me just setting up my buffs, and Soul Janus pretty much takes care of the rest. I'm pretty much only attacking once every spawn rotation, so if I'm ever working or if I'm watching a show or something, I only have to pay attention to those spawn rotations and when I put my summons back up, because most of the time everything else gets taken care of. Every now and then I'll sprinkle in rapid fire just for funsies, and hold that down until the cycle of my summons. Okay, now I go replace my summons, put a fountain, and yeah, the cycle pretty much continues just like that. Very simple class. I also really enjoy this class because of the mobility. I think one of my favorite things to do in this game is glide. Only limited classes like Corsair or the Demons have glides, and it's a really useful utility, especially in a lot of like endgame bosses like Kalos. Honestly, like catching strings and calling, it's pretty good. So having that utility is really important to me. I also really like recoil shot, even though it has kind of a weird thing where if you put it on a macro, it technically shoots a tiny bit faster than having it individually bound on a key. It's just a regular backstep, but it's like you can do it pretty consecutively instead of like the Shade one where you just do a single backstep. The class also has a lot of iframes. It has a 30-second iframe, and with like Mercedes and some other cooldown things, it can go to like 27 seconds. This is one of your V skills. Your burst is also completely iframed. Every single time I put Nautilus Assault, which is just basically another summon for my burst, I'm iframed, so I get a few seconds after to just do whatever I want. And if you play the class well, you don't need iframes, so get some hands. But I guess this is a positive slash negative. It has a weird inner ability currently, which is going to literally change with this upcoming update. The optimal one that I want to have is number of enemies hit by multi-target skills +1, and I also get the benefit from having Legion artifacts +1. It's strange because it does give you a tiny bit of final damage currently, which is like slightly better now because the summons kind of outweigh your other attacks and burst skills on a like 6-minute BA, but because we're getting our buff burst, our burst buffed in the next patch, that's gonna kind of change. I don't know to exactly what, but I'm gonna keep my inner ability until I like accrue like 2 million points to reroll it. Our burst is also pretty fun. So this class is kind of known for this skill right here. This is called Bullet Barrage. It used to be a mobbing skill that lasted 15 seconds, but very recently they've consolidated it to half the time, so 7 seconds or so, and they're going to consolidate it even more to 4 seconds. So every time you burst, I feel like this gif of Peter Griffin spinning. But some cons for this class. I do not play this class for damage. Like, it is in the bottom tier of every single DPM, DPS, mains, whatever have you chart. It's 42nd out of 47 on the like recent DPM chart with the attack speed conversions. It's not a very good class for damage, but you know, you have so many other options, and I'm not really super progressing or like pushing towards like C Kalos, X Kalos, or anything like that, so it's not like I super care. But for the people who do care a lot about damage, honestly, don't play this class. People will be very mean to you if you're looking for parties on Reboot Central. Not because your damage is lacking per se, but because Corsair is just not a very good burst class, and unfortunately that's kind of the meta right now. This is going to change with literally this upcoming update, but the trios super suck for this class. And it doesn't really matter afterwards because we're getting the change where you can select your trios, but because the class has so many skills that you can boost, it is a little difficult to actually max out the trios too. It can get super expensive, so it's not a very beginner-friendly class in 5th job, and it is definitely not a beginner-friendly class in 6th job because our skills are so spread, or our damage is so spread out between all of our skills. This is gonna change, by the way, like this Hexa order, because some of our skills are getting buffed. But for some classes, say like Bowmaster, where they're just leveling Hurricane all the way to level 30 and get their most of their final damage done within the first, you know, quarter of their Hexa, that seems a lot more appealing than whatever this is. But in turn, the class does have a lot of utility. I talked about the mobility. I do want to mention that because all the supports are getting nerfed, our banner, this is a pirate V skill that gives 25% stat and 25% ID, is not getting nerfed. And old damage comparison said that it was like 7% FD for the party. I think that's probably about the same after, maybe a little more. So it's always important to have a, you know, like any sort of IED wherever you can get it, because Bishop lose theirs pretty soon. I also think Wings is a really cool way to help support your party. It's a good way to catch Behelis strings. So if your party needs to go down fast, you have a really quick option. I like to use it to tell my party where platforms are in Black Mage. I also like to use it with my 30-second iframe target lock and pop the Sarin bombs. And I'm also in charge of Calling Bird in my end Calling party, so I will catch strings for them, do callouts, whatever have you, and it is a really good way to like follow the bird as it's flying so you can take ticks of damage. These are just kind of like niche scenarios, but you know, Wings has a lot of options. And finally, I have a lot of super stance. So if you put this pirate spinner down, you get like a second of super stance. If you ever see like, say, Lotus's knockback or something, he does a knockback, I put the pirate spinner down, I will stay stationary for the entire time. And also a niche thing that a lot of people don't know is our mobbing skull, 8 Lakes Easton, that little like puff of fire that shoots out whenever I mob, plus the down arrow will give you super stance whenever you use it. So you can use it basically as a parry if you are in a tight scenario where bosses are knocking you back. But yeah, it's a entirely fine class. I don't think that it's a terrible class by any means. I think it suffers from having no damage compared to every other class, but it makes up for it in utility and mobbing. I think it's a very fun class, and if you really care about grinding and ease of grinding, especially with like level 1 Janus and not having to put a lot of points into getting Janus stronger or getting more balls or anything like that, it's a pretty good option. But do not play the class if you're power hungry, and do not play the class if you are looking at an easy boss mule, because it is a lot of effort to fund it and then eventually to even play it. So here's a quick montage. It's a kind of like little scenario of me bossing. So as you can see, that was a demo of me just doing my summons only, no iframes. I think the major thing to take away from that video is that the class is super fluid, and if you fund it enough, truly it can do anything. The only major qualm is just if you are pushing endgame bosses, it's not a very good class for that, and in truth, it probably never will be, because it has never been meta ever since like pre-Big Bang. So play with caution, but it's a very fun class for anybody who does enjoy having a lot of options to literally do anything. So yeah, that's why I play Corsair.